I'll start with cleaning the area where I'll be installing. I would recommend that you do a pressure wash. Now, when you feel this is clean enough for you, spray with soapy water. Find the piece on the paint protection film and notice that the driver and passenger sides are obviously different. So look at the film, it should have the letter P for passenger side and the letter D for driver side. In this case, I'm doing the passenger side. This is the piece. I'll spray it on top. This prevents static. Then I'll just peel off, spray the adhesive side, and apply. Now let's spray it on top again so that the squeegee would move freely. And now we have to remove the water. Now I'll move to the next piece, the front door. Again, before I begin the installation, I'll make sure that this is clean, and I'll spray the film on top before I peel off. And then, since this is a longer piece, I'll peel off in parts and spray the adhesive side. Make sure you don't drop the film, because if you do, chances are it will catch on dirt and you won't be able to take this off. Now take your time positioning this so that it's well centered within the area, it's not sticking out from anywhere. As you remove water, the film will be less and less slippery. So make sure that you do your adjustment to the alignment frequently. Otherwise, you might end up being at a place where you can no longer adjust it by just sliding, in which case you have to peel off before it starts curing, respray and reapply. By the way, if after the installation you notice that, for instance, some edges are sticking out a little bit, don't panic. Give it a day for the film to completely dry up, and then you can just use the squeegee to tuck them in if they're sticking out. Once the film is completely dry, the paint protection film is super sticky, so it will be a very easy thing to do, and this way you make sure that the exposed paint protection film doesn't catch any dirt. check the bottom edges to see if the film is way too low, sticking out of the edges, and if it is, I'll just move it up a little bit. Alright, now let's move on to the last part, which would be this entire bottom panel, which starts from around here where this film ends and goes toward all the way to the front. Since this is a very long piece, you cannot hold it in two hands, and it's not safe to peel off the entire piece in advance unless you have a helper. I would recommend that you install this in sections and then align it properly. So I'll spray the entire thing. Then I'll spray the film. And I'll start here at the back. So I'll peel off a little bit. I'll position it as best as I can. Make sure before you start this that the squeegee is nearby. And now I'll use the squeegee to remove some of the water. What that allows me is that the film will no longer need to be held, and instead it will stay. And I can do some fine alignments later when the entire film is applied. Now I have the film applied pretty poorly in terms of alignment, but that's okay because the film is no longer on the adhesive backing, it's now on the car. And now is the time to do the proper alignment. So I'll start with here again, but because I'll be removing this to realign it, I'll give it some tack, let's say here, so that the entire film doesn't just drop down on the floor. Now respray. And align. Now I'm getting a bit of an exposed edge here, but since I tacked the film here, I can't really pull it, so I'll have to go a little bit more. And if you're still getting this, and what I mean by this is, it's probably not visible on the video, but there is about this much here that is exposed and it shouldn't be. So what I'll do instead is I'll go in the front, I'll peel the film off on the front, and I'll move it a little bit to the back so I can have some wiggle room here. Okay, let's see if that worked. Yes. Okay, now I like my alignment here, and I'm ready to finish this part. Now, I'll take the next 20 inches and I'll do it like 20 inches at a time. Now, before I continue, I will have to remove the film a little bit and spray inside again. And as I said, I'll be doing this in segments. Try to maintain your alignment at the top edge. And I won't worry too much about the bottom just now. We'll do that at the end. Okay, now the entire length of the bottom piece is applied, at least on the top. And now it's time to take care of the water, which would create bubbles if we leave any water under the film. So what I'll do is that I'll start on one end and I'll use the squeegee to remove the water from top to bottom, like this. Now, there is no guarantee that I will not miss something. I recommend that you take your time, do this in good lighting, check under different angles to make sure you're not missing anything. But if you still end up missing some spots of water and you see bubbles in a day or two, don't worry, give it a few days to see where the bubbles will settle, because they will move a little bit due to gravity. And once they settle, whatever is left, because the tiny ones might disappear, once they settle, just use a small needle to poke the bubble pocket, squeeze out the water, and then just push it with your finger, and it should be fine. Then give it a few more days and the poke hole will disappear, because this is a self-heating film. Here at the front, it's a bit more curvy, so if the film doesn't want to stick right away, you can either spray with clean water the adhesive side to wash off some of the soap, or you can use a heat gun or a hair dryer, which would make it stick right away. Alternatively, just don't drive the car for like half a day, let the film dry up, and once it's dry, you just use the squeegee again and it will stick. Now I'm done with the passenger side, and now is a good time to go over my installation, and I would recommend you do the same and check every square inch of it to make sure you're not missing something. And again, if you, for example, see that you misaligned somewhere, the chances are, depending on how fast you do this, the chances are that the film might have started curing and would be hard to remove. You can try. If it's giving you too much opposition to pulling it, just leave it be, and when it's fully dry, just fold the edges where it's sticking out, if it is. If it's not giving you too much resistance, you can just peel off, respray, reapply, and re-squeegee. And if you see any pockets of air or water, try to remove them now, because it will be harder later. One way to look for them, by the way, for the pockets of air or water, is to be in a quiet environment and then just push the squeegee really hard and you hear them pop. And if you hear these pops, it means that you've missed something. And that's about it.